Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to you. If you'd like to come forward, we're just about to start. Delighted to see so many of you here. I'm sure most of you know me anyway. My name's Don Wilson. Graeme to my left here, Graeme MacLeod, and co-author Bill Logan. We're delighted to be here for the launch of the Nairn County Centenary book to mark its 100th year in the Highland League. And can I say, I've already thrown the script out the window. Graeme gave me, he said, keep it short, Donald. Well, I've never taken any instructions from my Mrs. Fiona, so I'm certainly not taking any instructions from Graeme. Anyway, I will keep it fairly brief, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure most of you are anxious to get to the bar and get a copy of the book. We've deliberately held them back so you actually pay attention and listen to what we're saying. But it's been fun, it's been a great journey. It's probably taken us about 18-20 months to put this book together. About a club we're all passionate about. We love this club. It's been a great institution in this town, and in fact its history dates back, it's more than 100 years. You'll find our research showed that the club in fact was formed as far back as 1884, I think it's earliest records of Nairn County Football Club, which is older than the Celtic Football Club. So there we are, there's a point of note. Can I just start? I'm sure many of you have been looking at the image there. That's the front cover of the book. And Graeme, Bill and I, we perused over lots of pictures. We're very fortunate today that we've got a paparazzi, as it were, up at Station Park with excellent cameras, take lots of current pictures of the current team, and they've been available to us, and we really appreciate that. But we were trying to pull together a few threads of the past and the present, and you can see the picture there, the older players, and I see it's delighted to see Innes MacDonald, the manager of the championship winning team, who's at the back, standing there very quietly. Innes MacDonald, delighted to see you. We're probably going to hear a lot in the next few weeks about an event in 1966 in the BBC. I think there's a sideshow going on in Brazil just now. I think as Nairn County fans we know more about 1976, which is, and make no apology for mentioning that year. But the image that you see up on the screens there, in the left there, of course, is Davy Johnson, who's the club's record scorer. And the trophy he's holding is the old North of Scotland Cup, and that was Davy's last trophy with Nairn County in 1966, although he did play in the 76 championship winning team. The background picture is a current picture taken by Kenny MacLeod, Graeme's dad, of the refurbished, reclad stand, and of course Les Fridge, who's been manager for 10 years. But the interesting thing about that picture too is the trophy he's holding. It's actually the Morganti Highland League Cup. Now it's important, a very important part of the club's history, because Angelo Morganti was a formidable and very important figure in the club's history in the 1930s, and he was a key figure in the building of that stand in 1937. He sadly died in 1942, and this trophy was presented to the Highland League in his memory. But just to go on and tell you a wee bit about the book, it first came up in discussion between myself and the chairman when I asked him what his plans were in terms of the Station Park, because there had been word about in the early 2000s about relocating possibly to Sandown. But Peter told me that they intended consolidating at Station Park, and I'm sure the fans were delighted with that. And as you've seen over the past 18 months, the fans have very much come on board. We've raised about £45,000 in just in 18 months, and all that money is going to be invested in the ground, and we're delighted to be part of that. I confess I was a bit puzzled when Peter said to me they'd be celebrating their centenary this year, because I remember seeing a feature in the Highland News in 1969 and marking the 50th anniversary of the club. But however, Peter pointed out to me it was 1914 that the club actually gained membership of the Highland League, but because of the First World War, they weren't able to play their first game until 1919. As I said, it's great to see so many former players here today, and Sandy Finlayson is probably our oldest committee member. It's nice to see Sandy. He's been involved in the club since the 1940s, I think, 1950s, and it's wonderful to see Sandy here today. It sounds an awful long time, 100 years, you know, but I find it quite frightening, because I knew people like Johnny Gray, Willie McRae, Johnny McIntosh, John Bowie, and these names are familiar to local people. These guys played for Nairn County in the 1920s, in its very early years, and I got to know them through my work as a journalist. So it's quite frightening for me, maybe 100 years, but I knew guys in the earliest Nairn County teams. I'm not going to spoil your enjoyment of the book. I don't want to tell you too much about it. The book, I think, tells the whole story. You know, Nairn County is no different from any other club. We've had our highs and we've had plenty of low periods, spells when we wonder where the next penny is coming from, and when we're literally the whipping boys of the Highland League. But there have been good times too, and regardless of whether your involvement with the club was during times of austerity or during the glory years, your contribution is no less valued, and I hope we have reflected that in the history of the club. There are players here today who wore the shirt with pride, I know, for nothing in the 1980s and 90s. Committees toiled to keep the club afloat during these dark days, and to them you owe a great debt of gratitude. But we're here today in a position of strength, and it's in no small measure due to the present board under the chairmanship of Peter McIntosh and his sons Peter and Michael, who are directors of the club's main sponsors, Nairn. So I think we can give them a big round of applause. We do owe my own association with Nairn County was back in the 1960s when I was a wee boy in Shanghai. We got into training. These days at night we could walk, climb over the wall, go in through the gate, and we watched such greats as Chicky Allen, Davy Johnson, Kenny McKenzie, Tommy Sanderson, under the watchful eye of Eric Geddes. In 1971 I started work at the Nairn Telegraph, so I was privileged, I was in a privileged position to chart the team's ascendancy to winning the Supreme Athlete, the championship in 1976, and I know every member of that team, and I see a few of them here today. Every member of that team knows that championship success would not have been achieved but for the appointment 3 years earlier of Innes MacDonald as manager, who brought with him his trainer George Welsh. I know it simply wouldn't have happened without Innes, and in the book I paid my own tribute to these guys, and I'll leave it for you to read and enjoy. They created their own piece of history, and I hope that someday that will be emulated by the present crop of players. I also see among you today at the back, he's probably hiding at the back, is one of our finest players, one of the most skillful players I've ever witnessed playing for Nairn County, is Ian Gibson. Are you there, Ian? Forward. He's probably a little bit shy, but Ian's home from Australia. I'm absolutely delighted to see him. His brother Neil's there as well, and Neil played for Nairn County, David played for Nairn County. They're a great footballing family. I'm sure Ian will confirm to you, I hope anyway, that I taught him everything he knows about football. Is that right, Ian? We both played in the same team at Nairn Academy, you may recall, in the second year. Ian went on to play for Aberdeen, Kilmarnock and Canberra City. I went on to achieve fame with the Milford to Tell, Blacklock team, and Nairn County Social Club. Anyway, that team provided Lance O'Craig with his first taste of football management. But you know, we look today and we think we had a lot of, we've got fierce rivalry with some of the clubs, and include Forest and Elgin City in the 1960s. But I can tell you, they're like shrinking violets today compared to what they were in the past. I'm going to read briefly a wee piece from the book, and there's not much more to say, but you might be interested in this. It's a wee piece on that issue about local rivalry. It may be pure conjecture, But could it be the fierce rivalry which existed between Nairn and their muddy neighbours Elgin City was born out of the first Highland League encounter between the two teams on December 13th, 1919 at Cooper Park? Perhaps the account of the game in the Nairn Telegraph lent itself to a degree of local bias. Nevertheless, the game was a rude awakening for Nairn County, that they were now mixing it with the big boys. From the account published in the Nairn Telegraph, Elgin gave Nairn a right good kicking to battle back from 2-0 down for a 2-0 draw. A rough game at Elgin, screamed the headline. It's with no small degree of disappointment that we record Saturday's Highland League football match between Nairn County and Elgin City at the latter's ground. Disappointment that our national game should be so abused through Elgin players and spectators, further slurring their already none too clean reputation as sportsmen by lowly tactics they resorted to when likely to be beaten. It's frightening stuff. And yes, we will have better folk from Forest too. This is what the Nairn Telegraph had to say after we won the Elgin and District Cup in 1931-32. Nairn County triumphed 5-0 against Keith at Elgin to win the Elgin and District Cup for the second time. The magnitude of Nairn's victory was a surprise of the season, reported in the Nairn. That's another word for saying we were pretty poor at that time. Quite what the rules of the competition were are not clear, because the county fielded 4 Bucky Thistle players in their lineup. The club's success was not rejoiced in every quarter. The Forest Gazette referred to the victory of a Nairn Bucky select. Quote, by the simple and now popular expedient of amalgamating two teams, Nairn with the aid of 4 Bucky players beat Keith 5-0 in the final, proclaimed the Murray News Sheet. Sour grapes, retorted the Nairn Telegraph. Nairn's regular team was good enough to carry them through to the final when they met Forest in the earlier round. County won 4-3, and not taking the gazetteer's snide assertions lying down, the columnist made reference to the fact that the Mossett Park side had the services of 2 Leith athletic players in their lineup. The book, and I'm just going to wind up, ladies and gentlemen, the book charts every era, from joining the league to the development of Station Park as a venue for football, the opening of the stand in 37, our first major triumph in 56-57, the trophy-laden years under Eric Geddes in the 60s, the championship of 76, the battle to survive, and yes, that great Scottish Cup win under Mansell and the boys over Meadowbank Thistle. And here we are in the new millennium, with another decade of success under the belt under the present manager Les Fridge, but still I hope there's aspirations of regaining the jewel in the town. Early on, when I knew the writing of this book was going to be a task for I was going to need help, and I was delighted to get Graeme and Bill on board. Like me, they both have a great passion for Nairn County. And I say get help from Graeme and get help from Bill. In truth, Graeme took the heaviest end of the workload. He's done an enormous amount of work for this project, and I can't praise his work highly enough. He's pulled together countless interviews, and he's taken my material and edited it very skillfully and interwoven it into the various segments of the book. He gathered all the photographs and compiled a wonderful portfolio of pictures which you're going to enjoy. And to all the freelance photographers and the Station Park paparazzi who gave their photographs, we are eternally grateful for helping create this record of Nairn County's 100 years. I'm sure Graeme will touch upon this too, but I kind of mention to Bill, Bill has done a wonderful job in the earlier years. I was going to dismiss it from 1884 to 1914, but when I saw the material he produced between that era, it was quite fantastic, and I can assure you he did an enormous amount of work and a fantastic job. I'm sure Graeme will touch upon this too, but I cannot let the occasion pass without offering my thanks to Tes Watson a while there for the superb design work in the book. You've given us a product I hope the club will feel justly proud of to commemorate their first century in the Highland League. Thank you.
Thank you, Donald. Donald mentioned that it's about 2 years worth of work to put the book together. It was a fine achievement to get it done in that period, but I think my biggest achievement is keeping his speech under half an hour. I'm delighted to see the club's first chaplain, the Reverend Stephen Manders, here today, and it tells me that for tomorrow's service the Bible's out the window. But no, when we first got our heads together in the autumn of 2012 to do the book, we split it into sections of who was going to do what. Bill here took on the role of researching the club's origins, and myself worked from the present day back, and Donald was going to work from 1919 forward. And that really kind of got the ball rolling, as it were. So I started working as quickly as I could, because one thing I didn't want to do was let the opportunity to research a championship winning season go. So I worked as fast as I could to get back to 1976. It meant that we were holed up in Nairn Museum and Nairn Library, scrolling through old copies of the Nairnshire Telegraph, and I'm delighted to say that, well, I'd like to thank both those, all three of those sources for all their help. Once we put the thing together, we had a complete record from the club's origins up to the present day. Beginning to look like there was light at the end of the tunnel, but we weren't even halfway done the job. We had to then go out and conduct numerous interviews, and in the book there's over 50 interviews with different individuals. Tracking those, for me that was the most rewarding part of the whole thing. Tracking these people down was obviously hard work in itself, but I think the one thing for me that shone through from all of these interviews was that the real sort of pride and passion that these guys had to pull on the yellow jersey up at Station Park. These are guys that, if you put Nairn County in context, it's an anomaly club in Scottish football, but to these guys it wasn't just a case of turning up on a Saturday to kick a ball, but they have a real pride and a real passion for the club even these days. Guys like, that might be expected from the local guys, but guys like Alec Gordon from Elgin, who was the centre forward in the championship winning team, I couldn't get him off the phone. All he wanted to talk about was his time at the football club. It was fantastic to listen to his tales, and I hope that comes across in the book. He was really helpful in helping us track down like Brian Darby, who now stays in New Zealand. Andy Cadenhead is another who some people, or obviously a lot of people remember as the captain of the 1966 North of Scotland Cup winning team and the 1969 qualifying Cup winning team. When I went to visit him in Aberdeen, it really rolled out the red carpet treatment for us. He couldn't have been more gracious, and his wife laid on a nice spread for us as well, which went down well. But yeah, it's great to see so many people that have contributed to the book, so many people that I interviewed, be it on the telephone and face to face, or by email, for the likes of Ian Gibson, him on the other side of the world. But once we got the interviews done, again, you're beginning to think we're getting there, but it's really only half the work at that stage. We had to piece together everything from contributions from Bill and from Donald, and then I had to get it all over to Tez Watson at IOR to do the layout for the actual book, and I can't praise Tez's work highly enough. He put so much effort into it and so much of his own time as well to make sure that the product we got was exactly what we were looking for. And I think it's, when you see the book, I think you will agree it is an extremely professional looking product, and it's an absolutely fantastic finish. Then we had to wait for it to arrive, and it was touch and go this week. It's safe to say it's been a bit of a stressful week waiting for it to come back from the binders, but it eventually arrived on Thursday, and I'm delighted to say that I'd like to see Mike and Jackie from the Barbers here, because they're going to stock the book for us and donate all funds raised there straight back into the Supporters Ground Improvement Fund, as are myself and Bill and Donald are not taking any cut from the book at all. Every penny raised from sales will go towards the supporters fundraising. I spoke to Strackens as well, and I'd like to say that they're going to do a window display for us, and again the same, they'll be selling books. So if you know anyone that's not here today that's looking for a copy, then those are the two outlets to point them towards. And Donald's just spoken to the bookshop this afternoon, and again they are going to sell copies for us as well. Finally, I'd like to thank the Playhouse for having us today. Ryan Main and the staff have been fantastic, letting us get in early doors to set everything up for us this afternoon. They've been laid on some champagne for us as well, which I'm sure has gone down well with all you lot. I'm pretty sure you're partial to a glass of champagne. And Finally, I just want to hand over to Bill, who is probably the most well-travelled of the three authors in terms of his research, as I know that his research took him to on various day trips to certain locations in Scotland. Thank you.
Don't worry folks, I'm going to try and keep it as short as possible so we can all get delved into this book. I'm very proud to be concerned with the writing of this book, and I'd like to thank Graeme and Donald for basically bringing me in on this. I've enjoyed my time researching it. I was going to say that I was never good enough to be an Nairn County player, but I'm very, as I said already, I'm very proud to be associated with writing a book, so hopefully I've done my bit for the county there. I'd like to thank the museum and also my wife as well for putting up with me over the last couple of years. There's been a lot of work going into it, as Donald and Graeme have said. But she's had to put up with me night after night, looking over various forms and researching and stuff like that. But unfortunately, maybe for the boys here, their work is more or less done now, but I've got still a couple of weeks to go yet. We're going to have an exhibition in the Nairn Museum, again covering the history of Nairn County, not just the last 100 years, but the last 130 years of football in the town. In fact, it's 130 years of association football in the town, 140 years of football. Now, the football is not as we know it today, but you'll be able to read that in the book. Just a little sweetener there for you. But thanks again, everybody, for turning up today. It's great to see so many folk here from all generations and players, officials, and fans as well. And just to say thank you very much again to the boys here, and Graeme especially. I'd just like to echo Donald's words that Graeme has done a tremendous amount of work putting this together. And without him, I don't think you'd be here today ready to read a nice book. I hope it's a nice book anyway. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks very much.
Okay guys, just to finish off, this copy of the book here is copy number 1, the very first book to roll off the presses. What we're going to do is I'm going to present it to the chairman of Nairn County Football Club, Peter McIntosh, and it's going to be going a time capsule at Station Park. So I'd like to invite Peter McIntosh up to the scene, first copy.
Well, surprise, surprise. I've been handed this book and I've been looking forward to it. I must admit and say to you, at this moment it's a weighty tome, maybe of biblical proportions. I think it would be very fair to say that if it hadn't been for Donald, Graeme and Bill and Tez, this book simply would not have been produced. And I do ask you all to extend an appreciation to them as a hearty vote of thanks for their efforts. I don't come from a footballing background myself. It's been on the business front, and it's with regards to now running a football club really has to be run as a business. And it's in this regard, I say to each and every one of you as missionaries, because that's what you have to be, because if we're going to be meeting in another 100 years, whether the Playhouse will be here, I hope to certainly be here, if not in present, I will be in spirit. And I'll maybe ask the Reverend Manders to arrange that, please. I think it's clear to say that without people who are prepared to devote their time and effort, there will be no football club. And I think in that regard, I would really say to you with some energy, we are looking for both young and mature business people who are business-minded, who will join us as either a director or alternatively on the committee. Because that is where we have to stake the future. Secondly, it's on the volunteer side. Now, each and every one of us, we're all very, very busy people and fully committed on many other activities. But what I ask is for Football Club and for the 100 years that we are celebrating today in the Highland League and this marvellous book that's been produced, I would like to ask each and every one of you, you're bound to know somebody who's prepared to commit at least a few hours now and again helping us, be it on match day. Match day is an important day for stewarding and helping, but more importantly as well, to help behind the scenes in preparing the pitch, preparing it, and also to just getting to know and meet people. In fact, it's fair to say that your main sponsors, Nairn, who happen to be my sons, Peter and Michael, who can't be here today, you know why? They're at Station Park painting and preparing for the start of the season. That's the commitment that's necessary to make a success. And I think that one has to commit in terms of acknowledgement just how in the last 18 months the supporters group have actually worked miracles. I am constantly surprised, shocked, and I just sometimes am aghast at how they have managed to exercise the enthusiasm that now is present amongst the supporters. And to have actually, within the very short span of time, to have raised in excess of £46,000 is nothing short of miracle proportions. And I think it's fair to say that 11,500 has already been committed, and that was in phase 2 of the redevelopment of the stand, which is the external cladding, and also to the loudspeaker system which is now installed, who in actual fact was also assisted and funded by Charlie Robertson, one of our fellow directors, who's slightly older than myself. So with that note, I do say again a sincere appreciation. I hope the supporters will continue to exercise all the enthusiasm they have, and may I say to you lads, God bless you for producing such a fantastic book. Thank you very much indeed for coming.
Okay, thank you everyone for coming. If you have prepaid for your book already, if you paid in advance, there's a table here in front of us where you can collect it. If you have cash and wish to purchase on the day, once the ladies here make their way to the table at the back beside the bandits, you'll be able to purchase from there. Thanks everyone for coming.